Okay, my name is Edmundo Torres Nava. I'm a student of EPCC, going through the course or degree for fire science, and today I'm gonna do my final project presentation. Okay, this one is the pre-fire plan and installation of fire suppression systems and fire alarm systems. But before I go more into detail on the layout of the building and the layout of my alarm systems, suppression systems, first off, we gotta talk about some basic stuff. First off, I gotta tell you the name of the building that I choose, which this one is the Glaucoma and Cataract Center. This is a private clinic for ophthalmologists here on the west side. I chose this clinic because my wife works in there, and that's my main reason and motivation to try to create a safer plan for her work environment, of course for her co-workers, and try to prevent an accident or a fatal accident to happen, all right? Okay, so first off, we gotta understand what kind of building is it. How do we know what kind of building is it? Well, this depends on the occupation type. There's multiple types, A, B, C, and so on and so forth. In this case, we have a type B, which means it's a business building. Why is it a business when it's a clinic, right? It's an outgoing patients. It's a hospital pretty much. Well, it is business because it's a private clinic. And we need to understand that a business doesn't mean that it's specifically related into money. It's just that they offer some kind of services. Okay, all right, let's jump in on this. All right, so we're gonna have the first floor and the second floor, which I'm gonna cover both one by one. Okay, so we have two types of suppression systems, which they are active and passive. An active system means that actively engages the fire or the smoke, right? Like water sprinkler systems, smoke dampers, and different systems with like a specific foams and stuff like that, right? And a passive one is things that they stop or slow down the process of the fire. For example, fire resistant walls graded 40 or graded 30, pressurized stairwells. And so it is basically things that they're built in the building, right? They will help us prevent the fire spread. So not prevent the fire to happen, but prevent the spreading of the fire. All right, with that being said, so in this case I used automated suppression and alarm systems. Why do I use automated? Because for me, it is faster and it's more trustworthy. Reason why is because you don't need humans to activate it. We always need to remember that human error, it's always there, it's always present. So like I said, we got manual and automatic suppression alarm systems. So here, to explain you the layout, as we can see, we have in here the waiting area, which I tagged with a green tag. And this is the area where that has the most concentration of people. Why? Because we have in here the front desk where the receptionist working in there, and an average of 4. And patients, here my wife gave me the knowledge that apparently they see 40 to 70 patients per day. So you can imagine how many people, how much people is in here and how much people is in here. What is here? Here's our examination rooms. All these offices in here and the ones in here, right? So here I put a hit detector, also known as the fire alarm control system, which means that from here we can deactivate it, activate it, and also see where this fire coming from, right? This one has sensors that they're plugged or connected to all the fire alarms, the smoke detectors, and the sprinklers, right? So we can know where is the fire coming from. Alrighty, so we have our FSEU right here, or waiting area, and then here in the middle between the waiting area and all the examination rooms, we have our machinery area. What kind of machines do we have in here? All the computers, the computers and the exam apparatus that they use for all the eye exams, for the peripheral vision, which is like the glaucoma test. In here, or also, or a lab room where they do all kinds of tests for glaucoma, for cataracts, for new insertions for your eyes. So we have a lot of chemicals in here. What kind of chemicals? We don't know. But there's chemicals in there and there's machinery in here. What does that tell you? There's a lot of hazardous materials in here. So for that, I put a heat detector right there. A fire extinguisher here, Class C. Why Class C? Because in here we have a bunch of mechanical stuff, a bunch of electricity going. And a fire extinguisher Class C is meant for electronics. You use water, you're going to create a bigger fire. And here, on this hallway for the examination rooms, we have first of our sprinkler system and a smoke detector right here. They right away will catch the smoke and activate our sprinkler. Here above the lab, we have our sprinkler systems all over the hallway with the smoke detectors. Why we have a lot of sprinklers and the smoke detectors? Well, because here in the middle, we have a kitchen that has a bunch of electronics. It has propane because we have a stove. So we have a lot of hazards in here. And then right next to it, we got a lot of fuel. It's the file room. So we got a lot of paper, a lot of vanilla folders and stuff like that. And we need to remember that to initiate a fire, you need to complete the triangle, which means heat, fuel, and oxygen. So here we have fuel, heat, and oxygen. We have the heat from the stove, from the burners of the stove. We have the fuel, which is right here, all the paper, and the oxygen is already in the air, right? So also I built in some fire resistant walls graded 30, which that will be the passive suppression systems. Okay, so sprinklers and heat detector, they're active, and the walls are passive. All right, here right outside the fire room, I have a fire extinguisher Class A. Why Class A? Because that's the most typical one. The Class A is meant for fuels like paper, wood, and like cardboard and stuff like that, right? So I have it right here just in case the fire hasn't get too big to activate the sprinklers or the smoke detector, so we can just right away go and extinguish this fire room. Okay, here I put my fire alarm panel because in here we have the office of the manager and the doctors. So that means that they can literally just exit the office, get on the panel, and see where's the fire coming from, just like the one down here. We got a sprinkler system right here. And then we have our two exit doors, which are the stairs A and the stairs B. They're also built in with the fire resistant walls grade 30, both of them. And with this fire alarm panel, we can activate our elevators to stop working like the usual way and start avoiding the floors that have the damage. So in this case, since this is the first floor, it will not let it go up, right? So it will just close up and let you exit. So here I have my reunion point, because in a pre-fire plan, just like the word says, we need to have like a pre-plan of how to react and what to do in case of fire. Here we usually, in this kind of buildings, we have what is called a stationary system. It consists on water hose and axe and fire extinguisher, the typical stuff that you see in the movies. But why is this not useful? First off, because without the proper training, the people who work in here, they're not gonna know how to use it, and it's just gonna cause more problems. And if the firefighters arrive to the fire, they're not gonna use that water hose for multiple reasons. One, they got better ones, and two, they don't know when was the last time they got maintenance, so they don't know if they got holes or they leaks, so they're not gonna work properly. So that's why we created a pre-fire plan, which it consists on a reunion area, which is in here. Why here? Because we have a lot of patients concentrated in these surgery rooms and examination rooms. So for them, instead of go all the way down to the main entrance, they can just take the stairs and exit the building right away. Also in this pre-fire plan, I like to integrate a class given by the city, in this case the fire department, which they're going to teach you how to use or fire extinguishers, which we have here and here. Explain you what's the difference between A, B, and C, and the one that is all together. Teach you how to use it, which pretty much like the simple stuff like separating the oxygen from the fuel, which we make that by aiming at the bottom at the base of the fire. So pretty much the fire is here, or the fuel is here, and all the vapors are right here. So what you're trying to do is create like a lid between those two to cut off the fire triangle. But okay, that will conclude my first floor. And now we go to the second floor. As you can see, there's not a lot of labels in here because there's not a lot of people working in here and there's no patients in here. But what we do have is a lot of offices with files, a lot of paper, which that creates a hazard material. Which, so in this case, what I'm gonna do in here, so like you see in here, we got offices. All these ones are offices. And this is a big fire room. And then we have here a kitchen, which is more like a break area, so there's people in there. So what I did in this case as well, built in some passive suppression system, which is the fire resistant walls grade 30. Fire resistant walls grade 30 around the stairwells. Fire resistant walls grade 30 around the kitchen. So here, right in front of the office with the files, I have a sprinkle system that goes all the way from here to the end, right before the stairs. And then this hallway that is separating the offices where all the manager and people filing work, and the other big fire room, which nobody works in here, but there's just a bunch of paper. I put smoke detectors on the middle, all the way to the end, and heat detectors. What's the difference between those? All right, so the smoke detectors, they work with the smoke, right? When we have a heat detector, we can have audible and visual alarms. What does this mean? Like sounding, or as soon as they detect fire, wah, 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 and lights, and they will illuminate arrows or whatever we put in here to indicate you that there's a fire and where to go. That's also part of for pre-fire plan. Also consists of label the emergency exits, have arrows pointing you to the right direction where to go. Okay, so also since we only have papers in here, in this fire room, that nobody works in there, I put another fire extinguisher, class A. Once again, the most simple one that is for paper, wood, cardboard, stuff like that. So this is a big fire room. I built in some fire resistant walls as well, just like the ones on the stairwell, kitchen, and the other stairwell. Here we are, as well, inside this fire room, we have our sprinkler system. And another one right here on this hallway. So for the people, as soon as they exit, they can walk here, and there's gonna be already a suppression system working. Initially, go to the stairs and exit. In this case, I put the reunion point on the stairwell B. Why? Because the break room is right here, so they can easily exit from there. And because the offices are in the middle, and they can just easily come down and make a left, so they can reunion. Because this is stair B, gives you the same exit as stairs A from the first floor. So basically, everybody, once they come out of this staircase, they're gonna be all reunited on the same point. So basically, pretty simple, pretty quick. That will conclude my presentation. Now I'm just gonna go a little bit more in deep on the layouts, or on how it came to my mind to build this. Okay, so we need to understand first what's a fire suppression system, which is their engineering devices built into buildings to prevent the destruction of property. Not saying that it's not gonna get destroyed, but it gives you a higher chance to rescue more of your private property, meaning files, your vehicles, your electronics, whatever you have in their personal property, right? And property from the building. Also, it gives you a higher surviving chance for us, for the people who are in there, the people who work there, the patient, everybody in the building, as well as the firefighters or EMTs or whoever goes into the emergency call, right? Also, it prevents premature destruction of the building. Why? Because we have the firewalls in there, making the joints or the pillars of the building stronger. I think that I already covered everything. I would like to have your feedback, guys. If you have any questions, I'm available to answer them. Once again, it's a pretty simple thing to do, develop a plan. But just because it's simple doesn't mean that it won't work. We just gotta remember that emergencies or accidents happen all the time. So have the adequate equipment and apparatus to work. It's amazing. Also, one thing that I forgot to mention is that we need the primary power supply that comes directly from the building, and our secondary or supplementary power supply, which is an external one, that most provide power to every single alarm and every single suppression fire alarm system. The reason why is because if the main power goes off, we still got the secondary power feeding our systems, meaning that even if it's a shutdown, they're gonna still work and let you know that there's a fire. Pretty important. Also, since it's a Class B, which means a business, it's a private clinic, we have our own water source, which most of the time is behind or on the side of the building, of course, on the outside. Running water pipes all over the building, providing water for the fire sprinklers, the water hose that I mentioned before that we're not gonna use, but also has different couples in there to give access to the firefighters and mitigate the fire. Well, I really hope that you guys like my presentation and that I explained it well. Like once again, any doubts, feel free to reach out, and thank you for your time.